Welcome to Life in Phoenix with Kelly. Today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty about what mistakes you don't want to make when buying a house. Buying a home is stressful enough even if everything goes smoothly from start to finish. Let us make sure that it's the most enjoyable process by not making these few mistakes. Now the last one is going to be the most important, so be certain that you pay attention and watch all the way to the end. Mistake number one is where people make large deposits into their checking account, not knowing that that's something that can throw the lender off. These undocumented amounts can come up as a red flag at closing and also in the qualification period. If these deposits make up more than 50% of your monthly income, they will probably need to have documentation or a gifting letter. We want to keep things as normal as possible when we're going to start buying a house. Most of you already know that we need to meet the pre-qualifications with a lender before we even make that step forward to purchasing. So if you aren't certain about how to do that, please watch my video that's coming up the second week in July. Mistake number two, being approved for a certain amount doesn't mean you should spend that amount. Sit down beforehand and come up with a budget to make sure that you have everything in check before you decide on what kind of payment you can afford. On top of your payment, you're going to have property taxes and insurance. Usually that is PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. It's typically impounded and wrapped all into one payment. However, in time, your taxes can change, which will change your payment amount, and sometimes the insurance impounds will also change. So having a thought process that you might actually have the same payment the whole duration or life of your loan may not actually be factual. Mistake number three goes with mistake number two, which is making sure that you sit down before you actually shop and go over your budget so that you don't become house poor. You might make a great income, but after all of your expenses, I don't want you to have to tap into your fun budget just because you bought a house. We still need to have fun and flexibility in life, and the only way to do that is to know exactly what you can spend. Number four is writing lowball offers. I highly recommend that if you really like a property, you come out with one of your better offers and allow them to counter negotiate with you and have your buyer's agent negotiate the best price and the best terms for your agreement. Both the listing agent and the owner can become offended if your offer is really super low and you're also asking for the seller to contribute towards closing costs, prepaids, or down payment assistance. So be careful not to be offensive in the beginning because you really want to work with people if you truly want that house. You might also note that you might need concessions from that seller, so being kind and coming out with a great offer based off of comparables and a fair market analysis is going to be your best bet. That will ensure that maybe that seller will actually give you some contribution towards your down payment, closing costs, and prepaids. It's certainly harder when you come out with a lowball offer. So maybe you're not quite ready to purchase a house yet. In August 2023, I'm going to talk about what steps to take to save for a down payment and get ready to purchase your first home. Number five is a very important mistake. Not making a list of the things that you absolutely need versus the things that you really want. Those are two different things. So the things that you absolutely need should be non-negotiable, and those should be things that you ask your real estate agent to focus on when they set up a portal or a link to a search for you. There are obviously going to be things that you would love to have, but you don't actually need to have, and those are important to communicate up front. Things like a two-car garage versus a carport, or a beautiful open floor plan versus something that's a little bit more closed off or pieced together. Those are definite things that you need to make sure you communicate well with your buyer's agent. If a pool is a must-have, then that's something that the agent should be searching for. Your buyer's agent should know exactly what you want after just a couple exchanges through email with photographs, likes, and dislikes. Mistake number six goes along with number five, and that is unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations for a resale home would be wanting that home to be in the kind of condition that a brand new home would be in, or asking the seller to replace something like worn carpet. Things that are cosmetic are not usually paid for by the seller and can be done by the buyer after close of escrow. If you buy a house from the 1980s and it still has a few of the features from the 80s, that would be something that you can cosmetically fix after you get finished closing on your home. There are going to be things that come up in the inspection period that are more than just cosmetic, so those are things that you'll want to look for as well. Mistake number seven is not to change jobs in the middle of buying a home. It's also important not to change jobs when you're actually in the pre-qualification phase. That can actually hold up your close of escrow by 30 to 45 days or more which means that you could be in breach of contract. If you're changing jobs in the same field, it may be that you have to have 2 check stubs and 2 bank statements to back up that 30 days of employment history to verify that you're making the same or more money than you qualified for before. If you change jobs midstream or mid-contract, you may be in jeopardy of losing your earnest money. Number 8 is don't fall in love with the property just yet. Love bombing your new house can make it really difficult for your agent to negotiate on your behalf. Why? Because you're totally emotionally invested and you're not all the way through the process of the inspections, the appraisal, and all of the other hoops that need to be jumped through with lending. It's just like dating. If everything goes great and you make it to the close of escrow, then you know you can put a ring on it and marry that home. Number 9, and this leads me right into the worst of the worst, which are number 9 and 10. I know you guys have been waiting a long time for this, so bear with me. Please do not waive your home inspection or your appraisal contingency. Not in this market. There's absolutely no reason to do that. It's very risky, and I would not advise waiving your home inspection for any reason. Now, if you're paying cash, you don't need an appraisal, but again, I would want to know that I'm not overpaying for the house either. While a lot of people think that the appraisal is just to ensure that you're not overpaying for the house, it's actually to ensure the bank as well that they're not loaning on something that doesn't show value. An inspector will be doing a thorough investigation of the home, inside, outside, under the house if needed, on the roof, and they will then advise you whether or not you need to have a separate inspection for the roof, the pool, the foundation, or anything else that might be of major concern. Roofs and pools can oftentimes be a specialty item that do require a second inspection, and home inspections do run about $375 to $500 on average, and for larger homes, upward of $1,000. It is well worth it, even if you find out that the AC unit is not working. That's thousands of dollars, and you would want to know that ahead of time. These are all big ticket items that can really add up, especially if you don't have a lot of cash. Now, if the inspection doesn't go well, you go right back to the negotiating table. You can ask the seller to fix, repair, replace certain items, or meet you halfway, or give you a credit. And last but not least, dun dun dun, I would not recommend using the lender with the lowest rate. Getting a low rate is great, but a lot of times that's just a bait and switch tactic that some lenders or mortgage brokers use just to get your business, and then they throw you for a loop. So be very careful to ask questions about rates and locking. The lender is going to be an integral part of your team, so you want to make sure you do your diligence on that end as well. One more thing that I want to make sure that you know is that you shouldn't be purchasing anything large like a car or furniture while you're in escrow. And if this information was helpful for you, please click the like button below, subscribe to my channel, and learn more about the house purchasing and selling process. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about buying, selling, or relocating to Phoenix, Arizona, and I'll see you back next time.